It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
So a quick announcement on the Happy Families podcast before we dive into today's I'll Do Better Tomorrow next week. Next week, Mrs. Happy Families, 26 years. 26 years of wedded bliss. We were married in 1998. 6 children, 26 years. Can't wait for next weekend where we're not going to be talking about what we can do better tomorrow. It's just our wedding anniversary weekend. Can't wait to get away for it.
Well, I'm having a look in the mirror and I seem to have a lot more grey hairs than you. So what does that say about our blissful marriage?
I can't believe that you said that. It says that I've got great genes.
Oh, is that what
I
it
have
says?
got great. They reckon, I don't know how true this is, but they reckon that your mother's father, whether he is bald or not, determines whether or not men will be bald. So my mum's dad, 95, 96 years of age, still got a full head of hair and only started going grey in his 70s. I'm putting it down to good genes. Definitely putting it down to good genes.
I'll let you keep it.
So today on the podcast, I'll Do Better Tomorrow. This is where we dive into the week that was. We focus on what we've gotten right, what we've gotten wrong, with the intent that we are going to be better parents ourselves on reflecting, but also because we want to help you to be better parents in your home. I'm going to go first. I'm going to go first because it hasn't been great. There's no other way to say it. It just has not been great for me. At the moment, we've made no secret of it. This is always a really busy time of the year for us. Every March, I tend to be traveling a lot. There's a lot of speaking. There's a lot going on. For the past week, I've been in Perth. I've been at Mel Maria Catholic College. I've been at Peter Moy's Anglican, Frederick Irwin Anglican. I nearly said Anglican. I'm really struggling to get across all of this. It's the red eye doing it to me. And West Leaderville Primary School as well. Just loads and loads of work over in Perth, speaking with hundreds and hundreds of families about how to make their families happier. And that means that I'm just haven't been home much. Next week, I've got a whole lot of stuff happening in Sydney before we have our weekend away. These are the challenges that parents have to make all the time when it comes to providing for a family and doing the work that needs to be done and still trying to be present for their kids. But on the weekend, before I was going away, I had a whole lot of stuff going on, trying to get all the work done, trying to get everything prepped. And I don't know how to say it other than to say that I kind of cracked a little bit. I came into the house after being gone all day, working my bum off, doing all the right stuff, trying to be good for everybody and do all the right things. And I came into the house and, well, the kids were not doing what they were supposed to be doing. Everything was a mess. They just hadn't done the basic stuff. And I kind of, I don't want to say that I lost it. I don't know if that's accurate, Kylie, but I definitely wasn't patient. I was frustrated. I expressed that frustration and I let the kids know that I wasn't really happy.
I'd call it a meltdown.
You God, thanks so much. All right. So you know what's really funny about this? I mean, I'm being really, really candid here. What's really frustrating for me around this is that I could feel it happening. And I teach people day in and day out what to do. High emotions, low intelligence, right? I teach people how to take a breath, step outside, touch the grass, breathe, connect, move your body, splash some cold water, really basic things, as well as creating psychological distance, imagining in 10 years' time when I look back on this, what do I want everybody's memories to be? Imagining that I've got an audience watching me. I mean, I've got 10 or 12 different things in the toolkit that I can lean on to try to make this work better. It's a big pile of tools that I can select. And you know the tool that I selected on, what was it, Sunday night?
The screaming banshee.
Yeah, the hammer. I decided the tool that I need tonight is the hammer. And I kind of went bang, 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 and got everyone in trouble. And it was just horrible.
So I'm going to put it out there. I know that you talk about all of these amazing mindfulness practices that you can do when you're in that space.
Well, they're not all mindfulness practices. I'm not big on mindfulness, but they're all strategies that are useful to help you to be better in the moment.
But when I'm feeling really frustrated, I want a hammer.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I went for the hammer.
And there's this need to release a whole heap of pent-up energy, and me going and touching the grass doesn't do that.
Okay. The problem with using the hammer is that you never do it and go, oh, nailed it. Just got that so right tonight. And my family's happier as a result.
But can you come up with another hammer-like thing that you can do?
No. And this is the thing. And in fact, research shows that this sense that we're going to experience catharsis by having a meltdown and losing the plot. It's not real. It doesn't happen. Now, it's true that there can be a release, but we can get that release in a million other healthier ways that don't do damage to trust and to relationships. And I just blew it. And the worst thing, the thing that was most frustrating for me out of all of it was that I'd barely seen you that day. And when I did come back in the door and say, all right, let's get things going, I'm starting to lose the plot here, but can we just pull things together? You had to go out. You were home for like 10 minutes and then you had to go out for an hour and a half. So it meant that I wasn't even going to get that time that I needed with you. That's kind of what really, I guess, blew it for me, really set me off. And Kylie, it was just awful. Like I watched the faces of our children as they saw with dismay that after I'd been gone for so long and was getting ready to go again, that this was what our night was going to be. You weren't home, so I ate dinner in silence with two of the kids while the other two kids were out with you. And it was just all horrible. It was all too much. The good thing about blowing up, if there is a good thing, if there's a shiny silver lining to this, is that once you blow up, everyone gets onto their best behavior, including you, because everyone knows that it was just horrible. And the two kids that were at home really helped to tidy things up. We got things in order. And while we were still waiting for you to come home, I sat down and played chess with Emily and spent some time talking to Lily, and we had time together. So it was kind of like that recovery. But I got to tell you, sometimes being a parent, when you're at the end of your rope, it's really, really tough. And sometimes the best you can do is just sort of tie a knot in the end of that rope and hold on and keep on swinging and hope that you can find the energy to climb back up. The good news is that I was able to climb back up later that night, and it did feel better. It felt really good to make things right. But my I'll Do Better Tomorrow is just a reminder. There's so many strategies, and diving in with the hammer is never the best one, even though in the moment it feels like it might be because you feel like you need it, because high emotions equals low intelligence. So there you go. There's my bad dad confession. Even with 20 plus years of doing this under my belt, 6 kids, 9 books, TV show, podcast, every now and again, I still melt down. How about you? What's your I'll Do Better Tomorrow?
I love having conversations with our kids because I never know where it's going to lead me. And the other day, one of our daughters was home helping me with some of the cleaning. And she walked into the room and she just looked at me with these kind of glassy eyes. And she said, Mum, I'm so glad that while I was growing up, you never talked bad about your body. And as I looked at her, I was trying to remember her experiences growing up and what I did and didn't say. I feel like I've been really, really intentional. It is not how I've necessarily felt about my body over the years. I've definitely had moments where I've really, really struggled with how I look and the way my body's changed. But I've been really intentional about not tearing my body to pieces in front of my kids. And that one comment, it was just this one little statement, just was such a beautiful reminder of how important it is. And as she continued the conversation, she just acknowledged that over the last few weeks, she's been hanging out with some friends and even some family members and has just been really, really aware at how badly they talk about themselves physically and how it left her feeling not good enough. And it clearly has made her reflect on how I have spoken about her specifically and her body, but how I also have spoken about mine. And it was just this beautiful reminder to me of how important it is that we are intentional about how we appreciate our bodies. Because at the end of the day, whenever I focus on what I look like, I'm going to be miserable. Absolutely miserable. Because I will never be like the pictures in the magazines. I will never be that person.
But if you listen to people who are in those pictures, the people who are in those magazines, they're actually quite explicit about saying they're the most insecure people on the planet because they're so obsessed with how they look. I was talking to one of our other kids about this and she said, I just don't feel like I'm ever going to be enough. And my comment was, no, you never will be because you never can be. Like, what is enough? At what point do you look at your stomach and say, my stomach is now enough? At what point do you look at your shoulders or your arms or your legs or your thighs or your hips or your face and say, enough. It's perfect. It's just right. And until you can actually do that and mean it, it will never be enough. And it actually comes down to this willingness to accept yourself as you are. The great irony, of course, is once you accept yourself as you are, you start to feel better about yourself and you're more likely to make the changes that are relevant and necessary if need be. And even if you don't, that's okay because you're enough. But this idea that you're going to continue to pursue and pursue and pursue until you become enough, I don't have a problem with trying to improve. I think that's great. But the belief that you're ever going to get there, especially when it comes to something like physical appearance in 2024 with what we have going on around us, just doesn't exist.
While I've been really intentional about not focusing on looks, the one thing I have been very intentional and very outspoken about is all of the amazing things their body can do and focusing on the person that they are. And that's my I'll do better tomorrow. If you're sitting there and feeling like I do some days and you're not really sure you want to look in the mirror again because you're not happy with what you're seeing, your kids are watching and they're listening, and everything that you say about your body reflects how they feel about their body. And there's power in helping them to recognize who they are, not because of what they look like, but because of who they actually are deep inside and all the good that their body can help them do.
Absolutely love that. There's research that shows that the more we say horrible things about our own bodies or about our kids' bodies when they're young, the more likely it is that they're going to grow up and struggle with eating and struggle with body image and all that sort of stuff. It's such an important conversation. And I love that we've got a daughter who picked up on the fact that that's what you're doing in your interactions with her. So we hope that today the take-home messages are useful. Say nice things about your body and don't blow your cool. Just try so hard to hold it together.
Just tuck that sledgehammer away for next time, all right?
Okay. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon for Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. Hey, if you'd like more information about making your family happier, please check out our brand new program. It's called The Quest, where we literally take you from go to woe in terms of making your family happier. All the details are at happyfamilies.com.au. Have a great weekend.